Hi, I'm Natalie,
Hi, I'm Catherine.
and welcome to Art Buds.
Art Buds is a podcast about being an artist in Ontario.
This is episode 1, an introduction to what this is all about and where we think we're going.
So, what does Art Buds mean to you?
I think we landed on the name Art Buds because we're buds
Yes,
and we're emerging artists.
facts.
So, we're like flower buds emerging into the Ontario art ecosystem.
Beautiful. I love that.
What does Art Buds mean to you, Catherine?
Initially, the budding of growing into this career. As we both know, this is not clear and not a straightforward path. And we are both very much learning what that looks like right now.
I'm the one who asked you if you wanted to be on a podcast. Why did you say yes?
I said yes because as an artist, it's not a straightforward path. And when I first got into this career, I didn't know anything. I had no idea what I was doing. I have been stumbling my way through it for the last 4 years. And as teaching is my previous career, I really wanted to make this an educational opportunity. I really wanted to help other people see that this is possible, figure out how to do it, and help them do it.
Cool. I wanted to do a podcast because I just like listening to artist conversations. I think they're really interesting. I think hearing about what's working for artists, what their struggles are, and what their inspirations are, um, is just like really gratifying and makes me feel more confident about my own approach to art making because I realize that there's not just one way to make art. There's just lots of different ways forward. So my way is okay. I also think creativity is just plain old interesting. So hearing about all of the weird and interesting things that inspire other people to make art is like super interesting, gives me new perspectives, and sometimes gives me new ideas for making my own art.
One thing I think to add to that is, so for instance, we're both teachers, and the teacher college path is very set in stone. Like it's a highway, right? In metaphor wise, you go to teachers college, you do your placements, you get onto the supply list, you get a couple LTOs, you finally get permanence, you build your way up into the ladder of permanence, you're set, right? And that is not what it means to be an artist. For all my hiking friends, is like trying to find the trail, trying to keep on the trail, and trying not to lose the trail. That's what it's like to be an artist. So to go along with like talking about creativity, like unlike being a teacher where the path is a highway, you know your exits, there's lots of clear signs. Being an artist is like, do you want a longer path? Do you want to stop and look at the waterfall? Do you want to have a camp this night and then move on to a completely different trail the next day, right? It is a journey and there's a lot more winding and like the trail markers aren't clear, and this podcast allows us to see each other's trails and be able to determine what is right for us and what isn't right for us,
Mm.
because there's a lot more options than I think people realize.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really hard to figure out what is right for you and what isn't, right? And that goes along with that creativity, because when you don't know the options, like how do you pick which one is right for you?
So what's your compass then, if we want to stick with this hiking metaphor? What keeps you on the path or what keeps you moving forward?
People, actually, which we are hoping to do with this podcast, is to interview and talk to lots of different people. Is they're the ones that have helped me figure out my direction. The more I reach out, the more I ask questions, the more I I just get to know, the more I realize how open that is and how much people help me figure out who I am as an
Mm-hmm.
artist.
Mm-hmm. So what's been helpful for you? You said people is like has been your compass and has helped you. Or what other strategies that have helped you in terms of like moving forward in your career?
Reading. I've done a lot of reading in the last year. Like I found a lot of books. I've read a lot of books on creativity. I've read a lot of business books as well. And again, that's a bit hit and miss, right? I love to hear what other people do as well, and I think that's why I wanted to do the
Mm,
podcast. Is it then gives the opportunity for the conversation to continue, right? Like here's this little piece of the world that I've found, and I kind of know what other parts of the world do other people know,
mm-hmm,
and can they share so that way we can all do this together.
mm-hmm,
One thing I've learned about art is it's not you against the world, it's your community against the world.
mm-hmm.
You need that community. It's not a solo thing. The more solo you make it, the harder you make it for yourself.
Yeah, I think going out to local art events and getting to know community artists has been um, really helpful for me. I mean, I haven't shown much work in the last few months, but just making those connections is a way to find out about other opportunities and just to see, like you said, the different ways that different artists go about creating and getting their work out in the world.
How did you start? Like, how did you say, okay, this might be a potential path? I'm gonna try it. Like, why art buds for you in that regard? Like, where did you go from there?
Like, how did I first start showing my art
Hmm.
or why? I think I'd been doing it for long enough that it was sort of piling up, and I think I'd been listening to and reading about other artists, like new, younger, emerging artists, not like old master artists, and just sort of thinking like, yeah, you need to, if you make stuff, I know that you can make stuff just for yourself. But I think that a crucial step in making art is for many people showing it to other people and getting feedback on it, and ultimately like moving it so that it's not sitting in your back closet. So I just started looking for opportunities and ways to do that. And I'm still in early stages showing in group shows, but it's a way to build confidence and get new ideas and feedback.
Hmm.
So here we are.
There we go.
I know you were thinking about questions you wanted to talk about earlier. And one of them was like, what do you wish was available when you were starting things out? I think you're further along in that, and you also come from an art school background, where your art school background probably gave you a different perspective starting out. So, what were you expecting that wasn't there, and what weren't you expecting that maybe you wish retrospectively you had known to expect or look for?
I don't know if I had any expectations because I didn't go into art right out of school. Um, but I did look back at my notes. Like I did go back to like my last year of art school sketchbook, and I looked at just like what I would have written down during any of our lectures or any of our talks. And I remember being not particularly surprised, but sad that there was nothing. Like all I had was one lecture about grants.
You mean nothing about the business of art?
Nothing about the business of art. Nothing about showing, nothing about exhibitions, nothing about how to make it work, how to do it. Um, Zero. And as one of my careers was being a high school art teacher, and the curriculum, it's mandatory to talk about art careers and
Mm,
exploring that with students. I'm so sorry to all of my students. I feel like I failed you because I didn't know
mm-hmm,
how to do it. So I didn't get a chance to teach you what it means to do it. I remember just being like, here's all the options. Artist. Well, what does that mean? Illustrator. What does that mean?
mm-hmm,
Um, like working in the gallery in the museums, being a curator, being a um, exhibition specialist, a program coordinator. There were so many more jobs in the arts than I knew, and I think a lot of people don't know about.
mm-hmm,
And I kind of feel like it's a bit of my mission now to share that. So
mm-hmm,
that way, us artsy creatives aren't stuck at desk jobs that we hate,
mm-hmm,
because that sucks.
mm-hmm. I wonder how much that's a problem of not individual people, but the system itself. Like if the path that most art instructors took at the college or university level is, go to school to become an artist and then stay in school to teach art making. They don't know the jobs either. Like it seems like maybe it's just the system itself isn't set up for exploring all of the other careers.
Art in itself has always had this very gatekeeping notion about it from the dawn of time. I do think there are communities out there now who are really trying to make it less of a gatekeeping situation. Um, and through my current journey, walking down the trails, right? I've reached out to a few of my old professors, and asking them like, how do you do this? What are you
Hmm.
doing? Like, how do you make this work? And the conversations that I have with them versus the conversations that I have with working artists like those at Wyndham, those with the Guelph Arts Council, they're very different conversations. There still feels like a gatekeeping barrier.
What do you think are the gates? Like, what are they? In what ways are they gatekeeping?
I think there's a competition. I think there's this I think there's this competition. I don't think people believe that everyone can be successful. I think they have this barrier to stop them from sharing, so that way like you don't impede on their success,
Hmm.
which is really sad because I don't think that's the case. At the end of the day, my work is not the same as everyone else's. I'm sure I like have some parallels with others, right? And as you would too, but what you do, what I do, what someone else does, it's all different. So if we
Mm-hmm.
support each other, we lift each other up. But if we kind of start putting those walls up, those barriers, then you're just kind of competing against each other for what?
Mm-hmm. I wonder if that's again a product of the university system where there's a limited number of professorships or instructor jobs. And so everything is very hierarchical and only so many people can make it to the top. So that mentality is bred into the system.
I wouldn't be surprised. I would probably agree with you. Yeah, for sure.
Anything else you wish had been available when you first started out, besides just more knowledge about the how to do the business of art?
I wish there was like particularly when I did start, which would have been in 2022, um just like more available resources and knowledge, right? Like our government doesn't particularly support the arts. Society in itself generally doesn't like support the arts. So there's not a lot of resources out there. There's a reason why we call them starving artists because they're forced into that. It's not because they want to do that. It's because they're very much forced into that. If you take care of someone, right, just meet their basic needs, their creativity will do the rest of the work, right? But ultimately, a lot of artists are like they create because it's really, really important to them to create, and they sacrifice a lot of other things so that they can create. We don't have to have starving artists, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's this like I don't like I, if I didn't have to supply teach to get my basic income, I would be able to create a lot more, a lot faster, and do a lot more than I'm doing now. I'm having to balance this like, okay, well, I have to work so many days as a supply teacher to meet my basic needs. And that takes up so much more of my schedule and my energy and my abilities that, like, trying to teach workshops at local organizations or even at local schools where, like, the money isn't going to maybe be as much, but will take a lot more of my time. Like, I can't make those sacrifices right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't give more because ultimately like when you do give a lot when you're an artist, you give a lot of yourself, right? Whether it is through your art or whether it is through showing people how to make their own art because of your art.
Mm-hmm.
um so I just like having those resources would be really great because then it wouldn't be so hard, because that's it, it's just really hard. And this podcast will talk about everyone's challenge is, like how hard it's been for each individual, and how they overcome that.
Hmm. I think the thing that I wish was available, and maybe it is, and I just don't know about it, but is a calendar of local art shows and events that, like, not only is just a list of shows, but when are the application deadlines? Just to, and I've started making my own,
Mm-hmm.
but I miss things because I'm not on social media every day. And,
Mm-hmm.
but it would be super useful to like just have this rolling calendar of, oh, this, especially with the shows that are annual, right? This comes up every year. These are roughly when when the call to artists goes out, when the deadline is, and obviously what sort of work they're looking for changes from year to year. But for emerging artists, I think that could be a really useful tool of knowing like these are the shows that you can look for in your community if you are, whether you're looking for group shows, whether you're looking for art markets. Like different
Mm-hmm.
artists have different sort of directions that they want to take their work in. But yeah, I think that would be a really useful resource. And I know we'd initially talked about trying to
Incorporate that.
offer incorporate something like that in the podcast, but I'm not sure that it'll work in terms of the timing of our release schedule. But
Or the resources of us too who have full-time jobs,
yeah, yeah.
right? Like I think it goes back to like this is a side project, a fun project that like could turn into something great and beautiful and wonderful, and but at the end of the day, we got other hustles that we're
Yeah,
doing.
yeah.
Which is
Um,
fine, but that's part of it, right?
it totally. How are things going in the studio right now?
Big breath there, guys. Slow, very slow. It's
You've been working a lot last week.
I've been working a lot. I've had because of Toby's surgery. I've had to
Your
be
dog.
my dog. Yes, thank you. I've had to be in the classroom a lot more lately to make up for all that time that I was doggy nurse. But he is doing great. We're really happy with his progress. So I think that will have paid off. So hopefully, fingers are crossed.
Mm.
How are you? How is your studio
No
life?
studio time. Yeah, it was report cards last week. I'm doing my principal's course right now. It's totally kicking my butt. So yeah, it's been pretty dry. I haven't been on Instagram. I haven't made any art. I'm just trying to survive my day job.
Again, those resources. What if you didn't have to work so hard in all the other
Mm.
facets of your life?
I mean, I'm okay with being a full-time teacher. I'm still years away, many years away from retirement, but I sort of see myself over the next number of years. Art is a fun side project. If I
Mm,
manage to sell a few pieces between now and when I retire, great. But I'm not worried about making it something that I can live off of.
mm,
And then I expect, and this is like, long-term vision, but I expect that when I retire, I will be able to, I'll have another thing that I can turn to put my energy into I will have already laid the foundation for what I
mm,
hope will be a more thriving art practice. And meanwhile, I will um, enjoy my hobby, and I mean more than a hobby, but enjoy my work as something that I can have fun with and not have to stress about whether or not I'm making enough money from it, and enjoy March break and summer holidays as art time.
hmm.
Any new inspirations?
I'm currently just obsessed with color. So I'm curating a show about color. I'm very interested in. It's called the information gap. It's where like no two humans will ever be on the same understanding, on the same kind of like wavelength. We can be pretty close, right? But we'll never be the same, or sorry, not never be the same, but we'll never have that same understanding of any color, topic, experience. Because how I can explain it to you will never be the same. Like Coca-Cola red, we will never see that color the same, no matter whether that Coca-Cola red is right in front of us. So I'm super interested in that. I'm interested in what that means in our art, what that means to the evolution of color itself, the technology, um, us as humans, and the psychology of color. Yeah, that's currently my obsession. I think it's so interesting. Um, However, I really should be more obsessed with my show in September. Should really be more obsessed with that. So there's that as a problem. But that's something that kind of takes over my brain when everything's quiet and I'm not having to think about certain things. Is like
Mm,
I go back to, huh, so we just don't see things ever the same ever.
mm-hmm,
That's really cool. How do you bridge that gap? Can you bridge that gap? Can we get a little bit closer? And what does that look like? And what does that mean? And how do we do that? That's my current inspiration. How about you?
I'm still thinking about the backyard bugs a lot. But again, I haven't had a lot of time for art making. I've enjoyed exploring lino cut printing, and so I hope that over March break I will make a few more lino blocks of backyard bugs. I've got a couple of paintings on the go of bugs. I was sort of the last thing that I explored doing with the linos was adding some gold leaf.
Mm.
I was sort of inspired by some of the like early Renaissance paintings of saints and the halos around them, and I kind of like the idea of like, you know, exploring some of the iconography of saints and applying it to backyard bugs because they really are kind of these, angels of our ecosystems that we kind of like to ignore. So,
Oh, I
um,
love
yeah,
that.
so I'm playing with that.
Give them the godly treatment. I'm here for it. That's great.
So, what's coming up next on the podcast?
We have arts organizations, hopefully as guests and fellow artists, to talk about their life and their journey.
Yeah,
But
and we're hoping to speak with the Guelph Arts Council staff coming up very soon. So, stay tuned for that.
yeah, thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. Thanks for
Thank,
listening.
thanks for listening. Have a great day.
Have a great day.